The outlook for my business, for my life, for getting stuff done has changed more dramatically in the past 3 weeks than at any other time in my past 20 years in business. I've started using Claude Code properly. I've dedicated many, many hours to understanding how to use it and to connect everything together. And I'm now seeing some incredible results. Today, I want to talk through a real life example of how I've built a collection of skills that compound together to create something quite remarkable. This is just one example of what I did today in totally automating and removing the need for myself or an assistant to get involved in the process of creating courses and getting them live on my site or published and ready to be digested by my clients with minimal effort. It doesn't matter if you don't design courses, it's the principles I'm going to talk through here about building skills to allow you to get so much more done in such a short space of time without you having to be clicking through things, updating, copying and pasting. You can do it all from your desktop in Claude, and Claude goes away and does everything for you. It's amazing. Listen in.
So the question is this: how do entrepreneurs like us who don't have an endless supply of cash, how do we leverage the best apps, virtual assistants, automation tools and systems to scale our businesses, increase our profits and have more time to do what we love to do each day? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. My name's Dr. Steve Day and this is Systemize Your Success.
Okay, so as I mentioned in the introduction, the past 3 weeks has been a blur to me, but in a really good way. I've hardly slept. I've worked incredibly hard, probably as hard as I've ever worked, but the results are now coming to fruition. I am seeing the potential of using Claude in my business like I have never thought would be possible. The things that it can do, even at this stage, are quite amazing. And I've got so much more to learn, and it's developing at such a rate. By the time you listen to this, the potential of what it can do now, in your time right now, will just be even more than what I'm describing here. This is a relatively simple case study. I just want to walk through as an example to get you started. The potentials for this are way beyond what I'm going to talk about here. One of my coaches, for example, who helps me with marketing, is building out some incredible tools for doing full market analysis, for building funnels, for building web pages, and I'm learning a lot from him as well. This is just one of many applications that I've seen clients, coaches, everybody that's around me who's really getting into the world of AI is just moving their business through leaps and bounds beyond our wildest expectations of what AI could actually do. And today, I want to just share a small example of what it can do for you. Today, I'm going to talk through the process of putting a course live on a site. I'll try and contrast with what it was like before, who was involved, how much faffing around there was, compared to the method that I've now just literally done to publish a brand new course, which I only had the conception of early this week. I started working on it today and it's now published live on my platform and ready for my clients to start actually going through. One of the big concepts I want to talk about here is building skills. Skills are things that Claude can do, which you train it how to do, and then it can go away and do that as many times as you want. But the great thing about skills is they compound, as in you can add one skill on top of another. So you can build a skill like I have for creating some graphics, one for copywriting, one for updating courses, one for formatting those courses, or whatever other pieces you need in that puzzle, building web pages, all the rest of it. And then when you actually stack them together and build a process that's end to end, all you have to do is prompt Claude to go away and build the new thing you want it to build, whether it's a new repurposing of your marketing content, or in this case, building a course, and Claude can basically go away and do it all without your involvement. I see the future for me recording courses is going to be me sitting down, recording a few videos, chucking those videos into Claude, and bang, the course will be live in a matter of minutes or maybe hours, depending on how complex it is. But the key thing is I won't have to do anything. It will all be done for me. I'm still working on things like video editing and some of the graphic design elements to make them even better. But even today, it's literally cut hours and hours of the time it usually would take me to get a course from concept all the way to launch. This means that I can share so much more of the stuff I want to share with my clients without that constraint of time, having to fit in and creating new courses around doing all the other things that I'm meant to be doing as a business owner, as a coach, and as a content creator. So now Claude is giving me the power to share more, to be more productive, to be more valuable to my clients, and hopefully create some amazing stuff, including more podcasts to share with you guys going forward. Okay, so I want to walk through how I built up these skills. They were independently built, and then towards the end of today, it all came together into something that was just unbelievable. I started out a few days ago actually creating a app that sits on my virtual private server. If you don't know what those things are, it's basically just having a computer in the cloud that's always on. So it allows you to just run programs in the background without you having to have your desktop on. Claude does have that functionality built in. You don't have to get anything fancy, but it's a bit limited with the number of things you can do at any one time. And also there are costs involved in using Claude to do things on a repeated basis. So I decided to use Claude to build myself an app to do a scrape of all my own courses on my Circle platform, to get all the transcripts and to build out all those courses so they can be reproduced. Now, you can get some exports from Circle as a backup. One of the things it wouldn't do would get the transcripts from the courses, which for me is the gold. Like, I record a video, stick it into Circle, Circle transcribes it, which is amazing, but it's sort of stuck in there and I needed a way to get that out. So I use Claude to actually build an app to do that for me, and then I've automated it so any new course that gets put in there, it'll automatically scrape all the content, take all the transcripts, stack them all up and organize them within my file storage, and then I've got a backup of everything. The lead into that, a little side here, is that one of the bonuses of me doing this is that I now have all of my courses and my transcripts available for Claude to use. So I'm building something called an AI LMS, which is an amazing tool that can basically be the brain of your business. You feed it in everything you know about your business or your courses or your content or your sales materials or the marketing materials, anything you have, the data, and feed it all in. And it constructs this amazing brain of connecting topics and allows you to basically then ask questions and also get insights, and actually it will then start feeding you ideas without you having to do anything. I'm at the early stages of building that out, and what I needed was all of my content. I needed some way to get all the stuff that I've ever recorded, all the conversations I've ever had with clients, everything I've ever created in terms of the intellectual property or the course structures or whatever it is, or the content I've put onto social media, the podcasts I've created. I need a way to just get all of that into the brain. And so that's why I've built my Circle extractor program. I've also got one for all of my sales calls I've ever had, or my coaching calls I've ever had, and I'm scraping all that data and building it. So I'm building some apps to basically automatically get that, both from my archives, but also from anything I produce in the future. So it will be constantly feeding it in. So that's the background of why I started building this extractor program, A, for backup, and B, also to feed into this. So that was what I started earlier in the week, and that was done this morning. I've managed to finish that, and that's now working. It's categorizing all the content and creating this library. So I've already had that in place. That's the piece number one. I'm going to come back to that later, but just to give you the background of how this all started. Second thing was I had a course that I quickly uploaded this morning. It was an old course. I've been meaning to do it for ages, and I uploaded it myself. I did this myself though. I got the videos, I put them in, it transcribed the videos, and then it's now live on the course. It's not been polished. It doesn't have any text in there right now, but after what I've finished today, I literally am going to ask Claude to go away and go through and update all of the lessons to put it all onto like the way I present courses, the branding, the objectives of the course, the goals, the steps, all that stuff which I get from the transcripts of the videos. Currently, I use AI to basically get that transcript and turn it into the lesson plans, for example. But now with what I've built today, it'll all be automatic, which is just phenomenal. That again, it's just saved me hours for every single course I ever produce. I used to get my VAs to do it. It was a painful thing for them to have to do. Lots of copying and pasting back in and fiddling around. And now it's literally all automated. So as I said, I put that course in manually this morning, but after today, I will never have to do that again. But what I needed was a logo. So on every single course we've got a logo, which is the title of the course, and then a little icon. And that just makes it look pretty. However, in the past, I'd have to go into Canva, create one of my templates, update it with the right text, download it, upload it to Circle. Again, it all takes time. These things, it's like another half an hour of my life gone of faffing around and fiddling with things and getting it wrong. So I wanted to create something that would do that for me. So I shared it some of my existing logos that I've got, and I said, hey, can you just create a logo for this new course and then basically upload it for me? Bit of back and forth, create a new skill called the course logo generator. It also then uploads that into Circle as well. So literally I can just say, hey, can you create a new logo for this course and update it? Well, actually I just do what's called a slash command. I call that skill, I tell it which course I want it to do. It goes away and does the whole thing and updates the logo for me without me having to touch it. So up to that point, I've got all my courses being scraped with the transcripts, and I've actually got course logos going on live. The next thing was to actually start thinking about courses. But for me, it didn't start with thinking about, hey, can I get Claude to design a course for me and upload it to my platform? That actually came later. The start of this process was me saying, hey, I'm about to give a presentation. It's going to be about building a on-brand content generator using Claude. This is something I've been doing for a long time using OpenAI and ChatGPT. I've now moved into Claude because I feel it's a lot better and the results are just fantastic and it's just easier to use, and because I'm now using Claude as my single platform for all of my AI at the moment. So that's a presentation I'm giving to my existing clients and something that I'm probably going to be doing as a public offering as well. And I went through Claude and I started telling them about what I wanted to do, what I wanted to create. I shared it like, this is how I do this already. Here's the files I've created. Here's the prompt, etc. Can you go away and design a presentation so I can then present this? It then went away and designed the presentation, got me to clarify things. Once it was done, it created the entire presentation deck. Oh, a little aside here. A couple of weeks ago, I created a presentation deck creator because I wanted to do another presentation. And so I gave it the ideas and it created this incredible slide deck all in HTML on my computer. I don't need to use PowerPoint or anything like that. It just builds it all for me. I've got forwards and backwards buttons, just like a normal presentations deck, but it's all automated to Claude and the results are absolutely awesome. So I created that skill a little while ago. So now I'm bringing that skill into the mix. So it went away and did this. And then I thought, hey, let's get a handout for this course. And so it went away and built this handout, which is basically a step-by-step how to implement this course in your business, or this presentation. So it's presentations telling the wow of, look, this is amazing what it can do. It's a cool content creator. Here's some big high-level steps. And I can give the handout out during the presentation to allow people to go away and actually build it for themselves afterwards. Again, Claude built that for me. Then I thought, hey, why not have Claude create a in Claude process so that Claude walks them through building this project in Claude. This is an idea I actually got from one of my coaches who actually did this with me as an onboarding process for a new funnel we were building. I literally pasted this link into Claude. Claude then walked me through the generation of all of the assets that were required to do this funnel build. And at the end of it, we had this amazing funnel built from scratch. So I use the same principle for this. I asked Claude to generate a prompt that the clients can post in, and it will then walk them through the generation of all the assets required for this on-brand content copywriter that I'm creating for them. This means that it's guided in the app and step by step, and at the end, Claude will have all the files generated itself, so it can then create that project for you, or you just basically link things together in the project and it's done. If you're using Claude Code, this is like fully automated. If you're using Claude Chat AI, there's a little bit of copying and pasting that needs to be done at the end. So now I had a presentation that was fully done without me having to create a single slide. I've got a handout that was super valuable, really well presented, beautiful looking, an easy step-by-step guide. And I've even got this automated prompt that actually builds everything for somebody in real time, like me coaching them on the spot, but it's actually done by Claude in their own app. I then thought, well, let's take it one step further. I've already got my course platform. Why not get Claude to build the entire course for me based on the handout? I can then upload the video of me doing the presentation. That can be the introduction to the course. And then Claude can then build all the lessons. So it went away and did that. It came back and it looked a bit generic. So I said, hey, Claude, go and check out my other courses I've already built. Get the design principles from then. So we have an on-brand course creation tool to allow you to then go away, and every course you create in the future, you'll know like where we use emojis and line breaks and bolding and italics and indents and all the rest of it. So every course will look exactly the same going forward. And again, Claude went away and did that, applied those changes to that course, and that course is now ready to go. Couple of things I need to do. I need to have a lock screen on there. So if somebody hasn't got paid access for that, they get presented with a, hey, do you want to upgrade? Claude went and built that for me as well. We uploaded that. When I say we uploaded, all I said was, hey, can you build that for me? And Claude built it, uploaded it, published it, and then it's live. I don't have to do anything. There's no copying and pasting anymore. There's no trying to fit anything together because Claude is connected to all of my apps. And if there is a human that's needed to be involved in any of these processes, for example, when we're designing the course logos, we want to put a icon of that course. And that's something that Claude struggles with at the moment. So we want a human just to basically go in and create a quick icon, and then we can update the course with that new icon. That takes about 5 minutes to do in Canva, but it's actually a sticking point. So what I did was to get Claude to create a generic version with the title and everything, which goes live and it can go on there and be absolutely functional. And then there's a task created on my graphic designer's task board that says, hey, can you just update this icon on this course logo, and then just fire it back to Claude and it will then update it for you. So I'm involving humans in the loop by using the tools they're already familiar with, like Asana, without breaking that normal working pattern, but Claude's doing all the work, and except for the few bits that the AI struggles with. Or if you want to have a quality control check, or you want to just check something before it gets published, for example, if it's going live, you want to read through it. That's where you can actually use things like Asana or whatever task management app you're using, and ask Claude to post in there to say, hey, can you go and check this? Once you're done, let me know, and I'll finish off everything and get it published. It's this ability to combine our normal working patterns with the Claude back engine that is just revolutionizing the way not only I'm working, but my team as well. And the final piece of the puzzle, which is bringing all of this together, is when I next create a course. Doing this so far has been a bit trial and error, getting things right, fitting everything together, making everything connect. But now I've got it all in my mind and also all built in Claude. The next time I want to create a course, I will literally just sit down and record the course lesson videos. That's something that I find relatively easy to do. I've done it hundreds and hundreds of times, thousands of times, in fact. So me recording a quick video, demonstrating something or talking about a topic, etc., is something that happens really quickly. Where it normally slows down is then getting that into the course platform, creating the actual course itself, structuring all the lessons out, getting the transcript, feeding that back into the AI, creating the lesson notes and all the goals and the steps, etc., and then updating the logo, building the log pages, all those bits. But now I've got all these skills in place, one for each of the core things that needs to happen. Once I finish editing those videos and they're ready to go, and the next thing for me to do is to create the editing tool, so I don't have to do any of the editing either. But right now we use Descript, which is an AI-powered editing tool anyway, so editing's pretty quick and easy, but I want to automate that as well. But for now, we'll upload the videos into Descript. We'll do our editing that we need to get the polished versions done. And then I'll just say to Claude, hey, there's a new project in Descript with the lessons for a new course. Please publish this course in Circle. Claude will then go into Descript, grab the videos, put them into the course site. It will then automatically transcribe them. We can then get those scraped from Circle using the scraper tool I talked about earlier. Claude will then create all the lesson plans for every single lesson and all the introductories and the overviews, etc. It will then create the thumbnails. It will update the log pages, and all of that is going to happen without me doing anything at all. It's fully automated. Me literally recording the videos now going forward will be that I've got a brand new course live on my site without me having to do a thing. I can record the videos, go to bed. In the morning, my new course will be published live. That saves me and my staff literally hours and hours of time every single time I want to publish a course going forward. So my only fear is now I'm probably going to overwhelm my clients with all the courses that I want to get out there, because it's suddenly become incredibly easy. All the barriers to producing courses of quality, of consistency, of actually just exactly the way I want them have just been evaporated. It's quite amazing. Working with Claude is scary but incredibly exciting. And why I say scary is like literally it can learn anything in seconds. So it's a bit like Neo in the Matrix, if you're a geek like me and you like that kind of film, where he basically learns all the skills. So whether he's learning kung fu or fighting or weapons or whatever, and they basically just plug it into his brain and instantly he knows that like an absolute master. That is what Claude is like. If it can't do something, you just tell it to go and figure out how to do it, and an instant later it can do it like a pro. Whether it's, for example, I'm using it to categorize all my sales calls, gives me feedback on my sales, and then to create, improve my scripts going forward. I'm basically going to tell it where all the training is I've done on sales calls. I've had some brilliant training in the past on sales, and it's going to basically get that and build a skill on how to analyze sales calls based on this, like the training I've done. A guy called Matt Elwell, Open with a Close, great book if you want to learn how to do sales. So I'm going to get the key things I learned from that, or my notes, or my handouts, everything, give it to Claude. It will then build the skill and then do the analysis for me. This just like takes minutes to be able to create something incredibly valuable that used to take me hours of reading the book, of creating notes, of going back over scripts, of like thinking like, oh, how can I improve this, or where did it go wrong? Like now, literally, I'm getting a like on the job coach with a brain that knows everything about my business, that's be able to give me direct feedback based on like the top coaches in the world. That is the potential of Claude. And I hope that if you haven't already got Claude, that by the end of this podcast, you will take a look. If you want to get Claude, you can head over to sys.academy/tools and you'll find a link on there. Get involved with Claude and start embracing it. You may already be using some other app, and if it can do all the stuff I've just said and more, as in there's a lot more that I'm not talked about today, then that's fine. But if you think you're finding limitations with what you're currently doing, it's clunky, you're copy and pasting stuff, if it's not automatically updating every single app that you own and talking to them without your involvement and being able to actually piece everything together, then I recommend you jumping on Claude. And the desktop app is awesome now. It's improved massively even in the past 3 weeks. It's now super powerful, can do pretty much anything you want with the desktop app, so you don't have to get into anything more technical than that. That's it. If you found this useful and inspirational, then please do share it with anyone else you know who is not currently using Claude or AI to its full potential, just to inspire them to actually get into it more. And if you'd like more support in this and access to all the courses and the handouts and the prompts and everything that I create, then please consider joining the paid academy at join.sys.academy, and on there you'll find a link to get signed up. Hopefully I'll see you on the inside, or if not, I will see you next week in the podcast. Thanks so much. Bye.